Hey, what's up everyone? Tyler here with Secureteam. We have a pretty amazing new video for you guys to check out today. Now, if you remember, we recently posted a video about the planet Venus and the anomalies surrounding it, and how the Japanese sent a probe to the planet to take images, and that after 5 long years it reached the planet, took its first images, one of which had contained a picture that may or may not have had a UFO within it, that image you're seeing here. And we basically just went on to talk about Venus and all the oddities surrounding it. So if you haven't seen that video yet, after this one, shoot down to the video description and click the link to that video. Now today, we want to talk a little bit more about the structures that we found on Venus's surface through official satellite images. So what you're seeing here, and you can actually visit this yourself, is the Venus Global GIS map. And it's an application online where you can see the entire Venetian surface. And you can zoom in, you can look at all of the amazingly abstract features, along with some anomalous features that we're going to talk about today. Now, as I spoke about in my last video about Venus, there has always been sort of an eerie blackout when it comes to Venus. You don't hear very much in terms of alien activity or UFOs, or in the subject of ufology in general. You don't hear a lot about Venus. Yes, we've been there. Yes, it's been talked about in the past, but you rarely hear about it. And this was confirmed by a lot of you guys who responded to our last video, who said, you know, you're right, I rarely ever hear about Venus. And it got to the point where they completely forgot that there was a Venus, because it's a planet that I believe is shrouded in a lot of secrecy for a reason. But it's like they want our attention elsewhere, because you rarely hear about planets like Mercury and Venus. So today, we're going to take an in-depth look at some of these structures that do not look natural that we found on Venus, and all of these images that you're about to see were captured by the Magellan spacecraft. Now, a little background on that. The Magellan probe, also referred to as the Venus Radar Mapper, was a robotic space probe launched by NASA in 1989. So here we are, looking at this beautiful Venetian surface, and if you don't know, and you haven't watched our past video about it, and you want to know a little bit more about Venus, check that video out. But this is Venus here. This is an official NASA image, and it is the second planet from the Sun. And it's basically, well, according to NASA, it's a fiery hot planet that is basically suffering from a runaway greenhouse effect. It has a very hot atmosphere and surface, and basically, the surface heats up the atmosphere, and the atmosphere in turn heats up the surface. So at one time, it may have been like Earth, but it just got so hot that it became unlivable on the surface. However, very interesting fact about Venus is that there is a location in Venus's upper atmosphere that is said to be at such a temperature that it is livable, almost Earth-like temperatures, way up in the atmosphere, where these biological entities could be living. And we do know that there are some structures there, and that's what you're seeing here. This is the Venus Global Mapping application. The link to that in the video description. And we will just go through one by one these structures. And I want to show you one of the very best ones right at the outset, and that's what we're zooming into here, where we have found this amazing and massive H-shaped building inside one of these almost crater-like formations. And it's odd because Venus has a lot of these whitish craters that seem to have a lot of these structures in them. And again, you can see this structure here, and I firmly believe this is likely a large base of some sort, because look at it. They say that Mother Nature doesn't, or at least in my view, rarely creates objects in straight lines and right angles. But there are exceptions. However, you will be hard-pressed to find Mother Nature creating an object that is a perfect H-shaped, with perfect sharp edges and right angles. And as we zoom in on this, you can actually see the shadowy side of this object. We're actually kind of seeing it from the side, and you can see that it's raising up off the ground, which is wonderful for our purposes, because it's a little bit harder to distinguish these objects when the sun is directly overhead and you are unable to see shadows and you're unable to see things at an angle and have a really good view of the possible height of these structures. So moving on, we will put in another set of coordinates that'll take us to another structure, which again is another one of these peculiar objects. And we've seen objects like this on the moon as well, and Mars, that sort of have this zigzag pattern, or an S shape, as you're seeing here. And once again, as we zoom in, we see this zigzagging structure that seems to have square cut corners on each end. Wherever we see these corners, you always want to look for these straight right edge corners, because that's a good indication of artificial construction, intelligent design, if you will. And now we will move on to another anomalous structure, which is really amazing, and that is what you're seeing here, which is this, when you zoom out, this massive staircase-shaped object, where you can see the shadows on these cut ridges that are going down the line. Now, this may very well be a glitch in the mapping. However, even if it is a glitch, there's still one object. So basically, if this is a glitch, there would still be one single large rectangular object that has been copied over and over. But again, that would still leave the one object, and we can clearly see the shadow to the side of it, which again gives us definition. It lets us know that this thing is towering high up off the ground. And, you know, it's almost like 3 blocks that are put together. We have the 2 lighter colored blocks on the outside, and in the middle we have a darker colored block. So again, it's very anomalous. And now we want to take you to something that I found that really stood out to me. I wasn't even planning on pointing this out when I was originally getting ready to post this video, but as I was going through, it kind of stuck out at me like a sore thumb, and you may have already seen it. And I'm talking about this massive pyramid-shaped structure that you're seeing here. And as we zoom in, you will begin to see this structure towering up over the surface. Once again, the side that is closest to the camera, from our view at least, is in shadow. Once again, letting us know that this thing is towering high above the ground. Now, when you look at it, it's a bit subjective, but you can see the pyramid shape coming up and coming back down. But this may be several structures, and it may be one structure. Or it may be just one single structure, but that is shaped differently and unevenly than a normal pyramid that we see on Earth. And by the way, I've been getting all of your guys' messages for us to do a video on the Giza pyramids. So we will have a video up about that very soon. Alright? So check back for that when it comes out. I've got some research to do on that, and I don't want to rush anything. So again, this massive pyramid-shaped structure, and it almost looks like it has these pillars in the back of it here, that you're seeing here, and then a larger pillar in the front. So again, this could be 3 structures that form a pyramid together, or it may be just a ruin of some sort. Because again, like I said, it's been theorized that Venus was very much like Earth in the past. So these very well could be ruins, left over from an ancient time long in history. So moving on, here we're just kind of showing you this beautiful surface of Venus. You know, it's fun to scour these images. I highly suggest doing it if you're into this research. Go to the lunar orbiter maps, the Mars maps, the Venus maps, whatever you can find, and just go over them. You'll be amazed at what you will find in terms of structures and objects that stand out from the normal surrounding and terrain that have always been there. But, you know, who really has time or the patience to sit and scour over thousands of miles of close-up orbiter images of some of these planets? But more people are doing it, and we're finding these objects. And we've posted some very damaging stuff lately. Now, almost to the end here, we have a couple more objects to show you. One of them is this object here, which, I don't know, it sort of just stands out to me. It almost looks like a structure on its side, kind of tipped sideways, almost like a spire or a tower. You can see it sort of has a base right here that we're circling, and then it has a long, again, what I can best describe as a spire or long tower coming up from the side, almost as if this was ripped out of the ground and it's sitting on its side, but hasn't fully tipped over yet. But again, it was just another object of interest. And lastly, I want to show you another one of these H-shaped structures in a different crater on the other side of Venus that you're seeing here. This one is actually more of a U shape, but again, it's very square, has very squared, sharp edges. And again, if Venus is as hot as they're saying it is, these large white craters could be being used to put these bases into as some form of shielding from the winds and from the heat. Venus, a perfect planet, a planet that we hardly hear about. You know, if I was going to put a secret base on a planet in our solar system, I would pick the one that is the hottest, that's the windiest, that is the least known, and that is the least visited and talked about planets where I could have a base and I could do it relatively in secret. So it definitely makes you wonder. Venus is a very enigmatic planet. I think that there's some rich history behind it, and I will continue my research. I hope you guys do too. So I think we've got some amazing finds here that definitely need to be looked into further. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to check out our other Venus videos. Better yet, check out all of our past videos. Alright, get up to speed if you haven't already. I promise you, you will not be sorry. And as always, let me know what you guys think. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe on your way out. Some amazing, interesting, strange times right now. And we're going to keep on digging down into the dirt and into the mud. And we're going to find more stuff and we're going to keep posting it. So, again, thanks for watching. Be sure to stick around because we've got a lot more coming. And have a nice day, everyone. Stay safe, guys. Thank you.